Hey there, continuing our jaunt across campus, looking for innovation and entrepreneurship in so many different ways. And so right now, talking with Jake from electrical engineering, maybe? Mechanical engineering, which is probably insulting, I'm sorry, to someone. But you built this box. What does this thing do, and what problem are we solving?
So there's a really big problem today with level 3 DC fast charging, which is a tier of electric vehicle charging that's sort of at the highest power transfer level. So there's level 1 and level 2, which you can plug into a home outlet or a 240 volt outlet, charge your car overnight. Level 3 fast charging happens within half an hour.
And this is like Tesla charging stations,
so like
that you would see on the highway.
So those are Tesla superchargers. This is the charging stations that I'm focused on are sort of analogous to that. It's specifically with the CCS protocol. So it's with the North American cars that aren't Tesla. So with these charging stations, there's a really big issue in terms of, you show up to a charging station to go to charge your car. Maybe not all the time, but a lot of the time, it just doesn't work. And the reason for that is because these manufacturers don't put a lot of effort into conforming to the standards that are defined on how cars and charging stations talk to each other. A reason why there's not a lot of investigation is because there's not an easy tool out there for regulatory bodies, manufacturers, anybody to go and test this stuff. So this device is made to sort of fill in that gap where it can act as a computer. It can be programmed to communicate with chargers and vehicles such that it can test and see if the charger vehicle will communicate properly.
Gotcha. So if the charger works, basically. Right.
So instead of bringing a whole vehicle to go test a bunch of charging stations, this will eventually maybe be something handheld. You can just plug in, test, go to the next one, plug in, test.
That's crazy. I mean, like, to just the speed of, hey, let me make sure from an efficiency standpoint, if I've got a bay of 6, but only 3 of them work, and I don't learn that only 3 of them work for an hour and a half. That's countless people who don't get to charge their vehicle. A line backs up that shouldn't have ever been there because all I had to do was probably fix something. Yeah, that's nuts. All right, so how did you get associated with this project? I mean, like, were you driving around your electric vehicle, like looking for a place to charge it, or like?
Well, so I'm interning with Idaho National Labs, and they have a group there that's focusing on electric vehicles, as a whole, but also more specifically the cybersecurity portion of it. So they'll look at every single aspect of a charging station in a vehicle, but one aspect that they hadn't looked at was the actual communications that go on between a charger and a car. So since there's all these communicated different signals that need to be passed back and forth, there's a IP communication that goes between the charger and the car that communicates what voltage everything needs to be at, what current and stuff like that. So they had a device that they saw did that translation, and they said, okay, there's maybe something here. We don't have the time. Let's push it on this intern, see what they can do with it. So I spent a couple months working on that, and I eventually came to this whole box that is a lot more miniaturized than what I started with. Even though it's
that's what's crazy, is that so many of these things, because you're talking about being a handheld at some point, but it was probably at some point
it was
as
a cart.
Big as
I had a rolling cart.
So just the fact that you went from rolling cart to this is crazy, but just as crazy as it'll probably go from this to something a fourth of the size, and go from there.
And so as it stands now, it works as it is. It's not very user friendly, but in the future.
But it's got to go through iterations, right? I mean, that's the whole point.
So
you figure out what works and you keep playing with it.
If I want to get this in the hands of regulatory bodies and manufacturers, got to make it smaller, which is possible. Make it more user friendly, so they won't have to learn Python and scripting and stuff like that to use it. But that's on the roadmap.
That's cool. All right, hey, thank you so much. It's great talking to you.